All right, so the first thing we're going to do, graphing hints, another way to say this is like notes recap. So I'm going to recap the notes in like 2 lines per blank here. And I think most of you will be able to refer back to just this one little page as you do your homework. So domain means denominator can't be 0. And so your answer looks like x can't be 3 or 7 or -2 or whatever. But you're just looking for denominator, what makes it 0. I marked off those together. In fact, I'll start doing that on all of the problems. We'll start a problem and I'll immediately just mark off domain holes, vertical asymptotes, because those go together. Holes come from factors that cancel. And the big thing there is you get a point, or you need to get a point to tell me where the hole is. You can't just say x equals 7. You got to have 7, comma, whatever you get when you plug 7 in. The vertical asymptotes were factors that don't cancel, or factors of the bottom that don't cancel, I guess we should say, factors of the denominator that don't cancel. And so that looks like x equals 2 or x equals 5. And you could have any number of holes and or asymptotes. I mean, we're not going to make them super complicated, but you could write a problem that had 2 holes and 4 vertical asymptotes. That would be annoying for you to do, and we won't do that to you, but you could have any number of holes and vertical asymptotes. All right, horizontal and slant asymptotes. Those go together, but there aren't any slants, so we don't really have to worry about it. That was the Bobo or the Eats DC. That's how we determine the horizontal asymptote. And that's me trying to draw a fraction, right? Because we're going to divide the coefficients. So one coefficient over the other. Lead coefficient over the other. Intercepts kind of go together. For y-intercepts, we'll set x equal to 0. And so our answer looks like 0, comma, whatever we get. For x-intercepts, we set y equal to 0. And so we get something, comma, 0. All right, so that's the 30 minutes of notes summed up in 3.5 minutes. Now there's a lot going on in there, but that's the basics of what you need to remember. And so if you're a flashcard maker, you kind of make one of these. You wouldn't even need to make slant, but that's kind of what you would put on the flashcard. If you're like an outline maker to study, and you want to like write a study sheet down, make your own study sheet, great way to study. Like this would be the, this whole next week in however many lines that is, 8 lines, 7 lines. So that's really important. There's more going on in the background, but that's the basics of it. All right, let's do some examples together because we haven't seen how to put it all together yet. For number 1, let's say f of x equals 2 over x minus 3. So domain, what's my domain going to be? Good, x can't be 3. Remember, you have to say x can't be, because the whole point is x can be anything we want except for 3. So x can't be 3, and that's the only thing x can't be, so there's our domain. Holes are factors that cancel. Yeah, a few of you are shaking your head. We don't have any factors that cancel. So none. And we will have none is an okay answer and a frequent answer. So don't panic if you get none. It's okay to say that there aren't any. Not all of the graphs have all of the pieces. In fact, it's probably fair to say most of the graphs don't have all of the pieces. Vertical asymptotes. What do you think? Factors that don't cancel. So that would be x equals 3. So all of that came from the denominator. Domain x can't be 3. There aren't any holes because nothing canceled. The only factor at the bottom left is x equals 3. Skip ahead. I mean, you can go ahead and mark out slant on all of these if you want to, because there aren't any slant asymptotes. So don't get confused and try to figure something out to put there. There aren't any. Horizontal is always either Bobo or eats DC. Which case is this? Is it Bobo or eats DC? Let's do the easier one first. What's the degree of the bottom? 1. What's the degree of the top? 0. There aren't any x's in there. So the highest power of x is there aren't any, 0. The degree of the bottom is 1. So now is that a Bobo or an eats DC situation? Yeah, that's a Bobo situation. So that means I don't even have to do any work. The answer is just y equals 0. Y-intercepts, set x equal to 0. So we plug in 0 for x. Pretty easy thing to do. We get negative 2/3. So 0, comma, negative 2/3. For x-intercepts, we'll set y equal to 0. So 0 equals 2 over x minus 3. And we said the only thing that can make a fraction 0 is if the top is 0. Is there any value of x that will make the top 0? No, like you can plug in x's all you want, but you're only affecting the bottom. There's no way to get this. If you want to try to do it algebraically, I guess you could multiply both sides by x minus 3. And then you get 0 equals 2, but that's not true. So this is a none for the x-intercepts. All right, let's put all of that information on the graph and see if we learn anything. Vertical asymptote at x equals 3. Vertical asymptote at x equals 3. I like using highlighters, but you don't have to. Horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. Y-intercept at 0, comma, negative 2/3. Okay, well, negative 2/3, you got to have enough sense about you to think, well, 2/3 is between 0 and 1, a little bit closer to 1. So we'll put it right there. There aren't any x-intercepts. You know what? That kind of makes sense now because there's a horizontal asymptote right there. So that's why there aren't any x-intercepts. All right, this is what I meant when I said sometimes you don't have enough information to go on here, because what does this graph look like if I've only got 1 point? Well, let's make a table of values. And the main thing is to pick points on either side of vertical asymptotes. And looking at the picture, maybe that makes sense. If you pick all your points on the left side of the pink line, then you don't know what's happening on the right side of the pink line. So pick a point on each side, and start with that. Just pick 1 point on each side, and then we'll see what happens. So let's do x equals 2, and then we'll do x equals 4. Can't do x equals 3 because we know that that's an asymptote. So I just plug it in, 2 over 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So 2, negative 2 is a point. If we plug in 4, that's even better. 2 over 1 is 2. So 4, 2. Now that's still not a whole lot of points, but those asymptotes are helpful. So we look on the left, I've only got 2 pieces there, but I know what asymptotes are. Like, that means the graph gets closer and closer to them. So even if I only have 2 points, I'm pretty sure I know what this graph is doing, because there's really not much else it could do because of those asymptotes there. And really, even on the right side, I've only got 1 point, but I've got 2 asymptotes, so that there's really not much more it could be doing. Grading-wise, I need to see at least 1 point per branch. So branch meaning like here's a branch, there'll be a branch over here. So grading-wise, that's enough. If you ever feel like, wait a minute, I don't know, or I want to check, then by all means, pick another point and see what happens. Maybe confirm what you thought was going to happen. 5, 1. Okay, that kind of fits the pattern with what we thought would happen with that. And so there's my picture. All right, the assignment today is only to see how far you can get with 2 more of these. And we'll do these tomorrow together. Oops, put that where you can see it. So for the second example, y equals x plus 1 over x plus 4. At least try to write the information out. If you can't translate it to the graph, that's okay, we're still learning. But see if you can fill out the information. And then for the third example, try negative 2 over x plus 5. And that'll be it for today. So 2 problems. Obviously there's a lot going on in the 2 problems. Try your best to fill out the information. If you can get the information on the graph, great. If you can get the graph complete, that's fantastic. That's the goal. But remember, we got several days to figure this out. So if all you can get through is filling out the information, that's fine. You'll be good enough for where I need you to be for now. So give those a try, and we'll go over those tomorrow.